I'm Mario Williams, and you are tuned in to deuxsol Radio.
Peace, peace.
Hey,
What's up, y'all? It's Ariam.
and Yodit.
And you're tuned in to deuxsol Radio.
That's right. Your favorite twins are back talking all things music and culture.
Because two takes are better than one, but twin takes are even better.
And we're back and we're super excited because we have a very special guest in the building. We have advertising pro and account supervisor at Wieden Kennedy and friend to the show, Mario Williams. Hey!
I'm so excited to be here.
We are so happy to have you.
I feel so honored.
How are you doing?
Gosh, we're honored to have you.
Really great. Thank you for thinking of me. I love to see you as a colleague, but also in this space. I'm so happy to meet you.
I know. I'm
First time.
so
It's
excited
so
to
great.
meet you because you and Yodit obviously have, a relationship, but it's so great that I get to finally meet someone that Yodit has spoken so highly of.
No, same. Likewise.
Yes.
The other half.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
Life
I love
big.
when the worlds collide. It's great.
the best.
Amazing.
It's great.
Thank you
and
so much.
We've been dying to have you on because, as our listeners know, we love to chat with people that have expertise in different spaces. And I feel like you and your role in account, specifically in advertising, is so special. And your story is so interesting. And we wanted to have a moment for our listeners to just get to learn more about not only your world, but also you as a human. So thank you so much for your time today.
Of course. I'm happy to share.
Yes.
It's amazing, the journey and, what God can do for you and the things that you continue to do and the things that you carve out and wish for yourself. And
Yes.
I feel that we're just living the dream together,
Yes.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
Living the dream.
I love that. I love that.
All right, we're starting off right.
Yeah.
I love that energy.
Yes. Yes. So we know the version of Mario sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
But before we get into who you are today, we have to start from the beginning. So we want to talk about who you were growing up.
Yeah.
How would you describe a young Mario?
Yes.
It's so funny. I feel like I was just talking to my sister about this the other day.
Really?
But yeah. My middle sister. I was definitely the same as I am now today. Obviously younger, but I was very organized. Like I had Hot Wheel cars that my mom would tell me all the time that I would have lined up specifically. My shoes were always lined up. My clothes were always lined up. I would know exactly what I was wearing the day prior to do what I needed to do for the next day. And
Really?
I felt like all my clothes on the bed.
So you're a planner.
Always. And then, extremely playful. My middle sister and I would always put on performances for our family because we were in an after school program and our instructor and like our choreographer, we would hold dance competitions and dance shows for our families, and we were always the stars of that. And then just like so many fashion shows from our grandparents.
I mean,
and like dressing in their clothes and dressing in everything else that we had, and when it would be like extremely jovial and like exciting. Yeah.
That is so funny because Yodi and I were literally talking about how I'm sure our parents loved literally just having us perform for them.
Yeah, it's great.
And we could literally do anything.
We did that all the time.
Yeah.
A very music household. My mom would always play R&B music every Saturday, which I think was like my first introduction to all the obsessions that I have with R&B music. A lot of exciting times. Mario as a child was a good boy.
Listen, I love being friends with this Mario, but I can only imagine being friends with the younger version of you. That would have been so much fun, right?
The start of the journey.
Yes, yes. And the fashion, hasn't changed. For those who are listening, you need to get into the YouTube version of this episode because the fit is just
so sweet,
giving head to toe.
Do not miss out on this visual right here, y'all.
Yes, truly.
That tracks.
I did it for you guys, of course.
Thank you, but you always give.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad you gave us this.
Well, you guys are great too. It was so funny walking in. I'm so used to saying Yodit every day, but I was like, that's Yodit. Ariam is Yodit. Yeah.
You know, it's so funny. People that find out that I'm a twin or that find out that Ariam is a twin that don't realize that we are, they'll get so freaked out when they're like, wait, there's two of you.
I'm sure.
There's two of you.
I was freaked out, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it happens.
And then sometimes it doesn't come off like naturally. Yeah. Like we haven't gotten there in our work relationship to say like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a twin. Yeah. So when they do find out, it's almost like, you held this information from me. And I didn't realize that I should have disclosed that. I didn't think it was relevant to work.
From me?
Yeah. So I always get that response too.
Right.
Like,
but to those who are listening, it's nothing personal, I promise.
Yeah.
I promise.
It just, we didn't get to it. We didn't get to that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
But Ariam has been dying to meet you. And so that's also why we're so happy you're here.
So you have a sister, you said. How many siblings?
2 younger sisters.
Okay.
A middle sister and a youngest.
Okay.
Who are my angels. Light and shining armors. By our lovely mother. Yeah.
Aww.
Love them.
And you're the oldest, right?
I am.
So that
would you be surprised by that?
No, I am not surprised. And I feel like it all tracks to me because I feel like when you're an older sibling, you become a natural leader. You're really good at like getting the siblings together. You become a confidant, a space of trust, and people look to you. You know, and so I feel like that comes to life in a lot of your work experiences too, I'm sure.
Every day. Yes. Large tasks.
Yes. But yeah, like we learned a little bit about your upbringing, right? Yeah. But we'd love to learn about when did you actually realize that you wanted to get into the world of advertising?
Yeah. For me, I was always interested in storytelling, number one, but also I have a keen understanding and such a curiosity for pop culture, which is, perfect for the space that you guys have created here. I stand so many artists and pay so much attention to the music that they put out. And as I was younger, I always gravitated towards the rollouts. For me, my visual learning experience was always near like, what is the first drop of something that is going out into the world? So as an artist, when they tease something, the breadcrumbs, as we always like to say, that was always interesting to me of what else was going to come after that. You start with something that's a breadcrumb, a tease moment, and then we get into the out of home of whatever the single is or the artwork, and then we get into the interviews and, the performances on talk show hosts. Like all those things were so fun, interesting to me to watch, to see the progression of how like any artist in the process, of when they were going to release a single. Then after the single comes out, we're looking at a track list, we're looking at an album artwork that's on Times Square billboards. Then we're getting into the tour, and then we're getting into all the sponsors that are sponsoring whatever tour that is. That was so much fun to me. And in those moments as a child, I didn't understand or know that was advertising. All of those billboard moments, all that out of home, all those things before we had X and Instagram were little moments that got us to a point to want to feel something. And I felt all of those moments and things. And then as I got into high school, into college, I thought maybe I could do music or something in that realm or work at an agency perhaps that specialized in music for artists or anything of that nature. I went to the University of Iowa and studied journalism, mass communication, and marketing, and thought about going the marketing route. I was also on the student newspaper there where I wrote about college football, quite surprising, and women's basketball at the time, and started to also do music reviews. Like I went to the Rihanna tour and they asked me to like do a review about it. I would do reviews on albums that were out.
That's
so
amazing.
The things that I loved doing as a child, I felt came to fruition when I was in college in the form of writing, which was amazing. And then from there, I realized that I wanted to really do the advertising thing. I did my own research, and being from Chicago, kind of just wanted to see what were some of the best top agencies out at that specific time, but just generally through the history of the industry that we're in, and just did my research, put my head down, and really focus and hone in on the departments that I could enter. A former friend of mine that I got introduced to was at an agency at the time, and a Black man. It was nice to see him in that space because I had aspired, once I realized, the departments and the agencies in Chicago, that I wanted to do account and brand management. That was something that I felt would be more close to my personality and something that I could resonate with really easily. In seeing a Black man in that space, I realized that it was also something that I could do. And it was nice at that juncture of my life to have some type of understanding and, you know, an idea of his day-to-day and the politics behind everything. It was nice as a refresher just to have a person to educate and
connect with as well. Yeah.
At that time, he had introduced me to the individual who hired him at an agency back home in Chicago. We had a conversation and I ended up getting an internship offer there, but didn't end up accepting it. I accepted it at another place called FCB Chicago, where I started my internship in account management on the Jack Daniels account, 10 weeks. And that is I feel, introduction into the space. Like, yes, I went to college, but I think the 10 weeks there gave me a lot of confidence knowing that I wanted to pursue what I'm doing now. I mean, you're really like heads down learning from extreme experts into the space. My manager at that time was an account director who was very hard on me, very strong and wanted me to get to understand the day-to-day of the things that we need to do as account people.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was...
Which is a lot. Your day-to-day is a lot. Yeah.
Not a 9 to 5.
But even like for an internship to have access to someone at a director level, it's not really common.
Yeah, it was an extreme enriching experience for those 10 weeks. And I learned a lot of things and felt really good, like I was saying, about coming into this space full time. I did my last year of college at the University of Iowa and had the pleasure of going back there full time. Wow. They asked me back to be an assistant account executive on the Xfinity account, which was also great. It was another different space than what I had interned in. This was more of the retail space. And that experience taught me a lot about the executional side of things. Like I was moving like every day.
I'm sure.
Also learning again from a VP and an account director at that time, 2 account directors actually. And it felt really good to not have so much space in between because in the department they were in at an entry-level role as an assistant account executive, there would have been an account executive or an account supervisor at that time to coach and carve out the rest of the time there for me, but I learned from levels above at an early time that I'd really think helped me even more truly become much stronger into the role as an assistant account executive, which was really great. From just the day-to-day, getting the confidence to speak to clients, to have a perspective, to have a point of view, owning and leading my own types of projects that were small scale at that time because it was retail. But,
but still like so helpful in just getting that muscle memory down and kind of learning about the workflows, I'm sure. Yeah.
And we at FCB at that time had an in-house studio where a lot of our retail elements were made. So it was nice to go down and talk to the producers and the creatives at an entry-level role when we, wanted to push our work. And COVID happened, which was very interesting of the time. I'm sure like most people, I was back home, of course, in Chicago working at FCB, but was having a weird feeling about what I actually wanted to do in my life. I knew that I always wanted to do advertising while I was there. I didn't want to leave that, but I was becoming bored with what I was doing. I didn't feel the rigor anymore. I didn't feel the excitement of the things that I loved about this space as a kid. I was losing that. And I wanted to find something in COVID, whether that was going to another agency in Chicago or perhaps my biggest goal at that time of moving to New York and working for Wieden Kennedy. And that's what I tried to do. I reached out to someone on LinkedIn who was a management supervisor at that time at Wieden and hit her and was like, I would love to know about your experience at Wieden. You are a Black woman. You've been here for 4.5, 5 years. It seems like, you've made some headway. Is there something that I could learn from you and perhaps enter Wieden Kennedy? We Zoomed for maybe an hour and she was like, I'm going to pass your resume and your website and everything off to our recruiting team.
Wow.
I heard from Wieden's recruiting team at that time the next following Monday. We had a conversation. There was nothing available at that point, but then a month later, they circled back. We love a circle back.
We love a circle back.
We
love that.
And the rest was history. I interviewed. Wieden really push you through it and wants you to meet everyone, which I think is smart. And became an account executive on the team almost 4 years ago, and now account supervisor. I really truly feel living out the things that I wanted to do when I was a kid. Like I talked a lot earlier about what drew me to the space was storytelling. I think Wieden does that in probably the best way that I've seen just from my research earlier on about agencies. And moving here was Wieden, or I'm not moving to New York. So I thank God that I was able to move to New York, but also start my journey in New York at a place that
you
I
really wanted to be at.
Yeah.
Wait,
wow.
Let's just take a moment to take all that in, right? That is such an amazing story because there's so many key themes that you just noted. You started being able to visualize what your future could look like. And once you started getting more clarity, you really just took a chance on yourself.
Yeah.
And you did that at a young age, which is really inspiring, right? Because sometimes we talk ourselves out of those things. We have a dream that we aspire for, but we might not feel like we're ready. I just love that you felt empowered by the spaces that you were in to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's really great because a lot of people might be in that same situation, but might not know what's out there for them. And then obviously your story on how you got to Wieden, like there wasn't an opening at the time, but you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
on
exciting.
top of that, I just loved that you always knew exactly what you wanted, even if you didn't have like the language or complete understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, you talking about appreciating rollouts as a child for an album, for an artist that you like. Most of us are just sitting here enjoying the music, wanting to see them in concert, but you're literally breaking down how an album is presented to the world and appreciating the process.
No, I love it.
But that was preparing you for the future that you have today, right? I mean, like having campaigns and understanding your consumer. You at such a young age, I think that's so interesting because that is not very common.
I wasn't playing sports that much. I mean, I ran cross country and track in high school, but a lot of my time was reading Billboard, reading magazines, reading blogs, looking at paparazzi photos of my favorite artists and seeing what else they were doing next, and writing a lot of poetry. I had a 7th grade teacher that told me, it was my English teacher, I believe. I forget her name. Wow, bless her heart. But I remember always loving her class and writing poetry, and I wrote a lot about like pop culture as well. And when we would have to present to the class, I would always get A's doing the poetry. And then I also probably at that time too figured maybe I could be a writer, and that's I think what came writing in college. But
do you feel like that's also helped with like public speaking and
I think so.
You know,
all the forms of those pieces to me about my love for pop culture, storytelling, all those things to me in the writing, I feel are in the realms of these creative spaces. You know, all of them are super creative that I think has been able to help me.
They're like building blocks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like, I think what people don't realize, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, is that account management, being an account supervisor, you wear a lot of hats, but you don't realize how all of these different skills that you've gained throughout the course of your career, how they can show up in different opportunities. So like, you know, you even having a creative eye or having an appreciation for creative work or having an appreciation for strategy, like how people roll out albums, like that kind of affinity or desire to know more about those elements do show up in your work.
They do.
And it's so interesting to get like that backstory as well from your upbringing, because now everything is starting to make more sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all how you landed here.
All adding up.
I love how it's adding up. Very cool. Very cool. So you mentioned that you have a wealth of experience working for different brands across different industries. You mentioned Xfinity, Jack Daniels, and now you're working for one of the most iconic brands in the world, McDonald's. I'd love to know if there is a common thread that you've seen take place across these different types of industries that you see leads to really meaningful work.
When I was at FCB, on those accounts as an intern, but also full time after I graduated, we said yes to everything. Mm-hmm. However, there was a lot of trust within those clients and us. And I also believe now working on McDonald's, there's a lot of trust for us to do the things that we do and we put out into the world. The relationship that our leadership has done and cultivated earlier on, even before I got there, it was clear to me when I joined that the relationship and the trust was formed, and we were able to do the things that we are now and push and say no sometimes with strong rationale, and have a strong POV, which I think is extremely important. But out of the experience so far that I've had and what I've seen, even though we did say yes to a lot of things earlier on to now, I've seen the common thread of the relationships with the clients, and that trust is extremely important. Mm-hmm. And it really gets you to making groundbreaking things, especially now with the time that I've been able to do on McDonald's. I feel that we see it day in and day out. Mm-hmm. And when I'm able to have the harder conversations with our client partners, I think it helps because there's a trust that I have and vice versa with the day-to-day team that we're working with, but also above. I think, again, our leadership has molded that so that it's able to flow down to everyone else. That would be my biggest, I think. And that would also be, a piece of advice, if you will, that I think those in the space can look to try to build with their client partners. That trust is extremely important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a question about campaigns, right? I'm sure it takes so much time and effort and energy
and
for things to
come join one day.
I can imagine, right? I mean, I, as a consumer, I'm on the receiving end, but I can only imagine how much work and effort goes into it.
Yeah.
So when a campaign actually does go live, what is going on in your mind?
I give so much credit to every person that touches and comes in and out of the campaign process that we do. And it just takes a village to even get to that point.
Yeah.
And I think it's reflective on the end to see how much work we have put in. And it is a rewarding feeling in the end that, we were able to accomplish and achieve something that we did together. Like you really form so many relationships and bonds with people just staying up late all night on Zoom or on FaceTime, just getting and cranking out work and really finding solutions to really hard issues and problems that we have. We have to solve for things that are not easy, and we have to answer to things that are hard questions. So getting to that point when it's live, it's rewarding just seeing all the effort and the work that has gone into making something so special that then, we hope that people will be impacted by and that things take off and we're able to see, how people react. And that's always my first mindset. I hope that people will feel what we want them to feel. And I hope that people are impacted by what goes out. Because I think about, too, my introduction to the space and when I wanted to enter, I always resonated more with ads that made me feel something. And that's what I always thought Wieden has done so well in their storytelling is you watch things from this place and you feel something you are really impacted, whether that's emotionally or any other way that's that makes you just feel really good about resonating with the work. So it's rewarding and it's great to see as the campaign progresses throughout the entire flight how people are reacting and what people are saying on commentary on social and how things come off or come about by what fans even do on their own. It's really great to see. So I just always hope, when it's out there in the world, no matter how big or small that it is, that it's something that will make people feel.
It's probably a sigh of relief.
Yes,
we did it.
I know we usually will probably be in a room, CMing and doing community management and making sure everything is live, making sure everything is to spec and on its correct platform.
Yeah.
And it's okay, what's next? Because it doesn't stop.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a whole plan.
Especially if it takes about a year, you're probably working on something else simultaneously. For sure. You recently earned yourself an Ad Color's Future Certificate of Achievement.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing.
Major.
So pat on the back to you.
Yeah.
Tell us what it feels like to have a platform that is so esteemed.
Yeah.
You know, recognize your efforts in this field.
Yeah. Shout out to Ad Color and Tiffany Golden. You know, I was very interested as the journey, you know, progressed to get into a cohort of some sort where I could really connect with like-minded individuals that were in the advertising, marketing, and tech spaces. So the Ad Color Futures program is an amazing program under the larger umbrella of Ad Color. And you have to be under 30 years of age to apply and be in advertising, marketing, and PR tech spaces. And then also be able to strongly demonstrate how you have risen up in your career so far and also reach back, which I think is extremely important to be at the age that we are to do those things.
Right.
That is Ad Color Futures' biggest mantra. And then, of course, you know, talk about your achievements and the things that you want to continue to do for others as well. So during that application process, I was excited to be able to show the things that I've done so far, especially being at Wieden. I think that helped tremendously. And then also at FCB. But then also be able to show the things that I have, you know, hoped for to do for other people and also continue to do. And then the Futures program, you're with 29 other people that have the same goals. Like these are a group of people that really want to change and impact their spaces respectively and be leaders, be CMOs and presidents of you know, what we aspire to do. And that was extremely enriching to just be in a group with everyone else that's on the same wavelength and be able to share this commonality of the spaces that we're in and what we want to like carve out for ourselves. So that for me was the biggest excitement that I had. Beside, you know, just the relationships that you have with people at work, it's nice to take a step back and see everyone else out in the world, whether that's in New York, LA, Chicago, wherever else in the US where these people come from, to really relate and to have a great relationship. And these are people that still to this day are like my homeboys and my homegirls.
Really? I love that.
Half of the class is in New York and we always try to get together quarterly and go to each other's birthdays, go to each other if it's like
building like genuine relationship.
Am I making enough money, or what's your salary?
the real conversation?
How do I have this hard conversation with my manager? Those are things that I always go to them to outside of people at work. So it was an honor. Ad Color is a beautiful organization that really highlights the success and the diversity and inclusion in this space that we really don't get a chance to see every other day. I mean, there are so many other programs and award banquets and ceremonies that we go to that aren't really meant for us. And Ad Color does such a great job of highlighting that and the people that have really put in the work to make this place more inclusive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great.
And do you feel like the class like represents that?
I definitely do. Yeah.
Amazing.
And it continues to get even better. Of course, I'm selfish in thinking that my class is amazing and like we rocked it out in 2022. But each year I see and being involved in the class that's after, it's really exciting to see like, wow.
Yeah.
And
there are people that are really going to shake it up.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. And like, I love that there's a community that is centered around obviously empowering those who are in the space, but also I love that you still have that camaraderie with your cohort. You guys have a network essentially. And I love the idea of building upon that. Like it doesn't just end after you're called in or inducted in. You know, like, I love that it extends beyond that, and then it empowers you to pay it forward for younger generations that are trying to get into the space.
We spent a week together in November because as a future you're there for about 4 or 5 days before the larger award ceremony, which is on Sunday, which is glamorous. It feels like the Oscars every time.
Oh yes, we saw the look.
The looks you gave on Instagram. Yeah. Came ready.
And it was sad leaving each other, but then still keeping that relationship tight when we landed where we were. So
I love that for you guys. And I love that you were part of that. I mean, that says a lot about like where you are and where you're headed in your career. So I love to hear that. Yeah. And it's interesting that you were talking a lot about, you know, we're not always meant to be here. You mentioned that a couple of times. And I find that really interesting as you're talking through how this opportunity allowed for more inclusion.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, in a 2023 Ad Age article, it stated that Blacks make up about 7.2% of the marketing industry workforce, which is technically up from 6.6 in 2021, but still below the 12.1% Black representation in the US population, which is crazy that there's
I got chills listening to that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
There's clearly a gap still, right? And as a Black man in advertising, why do you think diversity in this industry specifically is so important?
Yeah. Like I was saying, like you just mentioned, we're not meant to be here. This space was not built by Black people in advertising. There are so many large conglomerates and agencies, large holding companies that were formed and started a lot by white men. Mm-hmm. And I believe that Black people, we are so powerful, and everyone wants to do everything that we do and we say. We create and cultivate so many and have really developed so many memories, and our vernacular, our swag, our slang, like everybody wants to say it. Everyone wants to move and shake like us, which is fine. But we, especially within music, we formed and started all these things that were taken away from us. So it's important for us to be in these spaces to make better work and to have strong, diverse voices and to have strong, diverse perspectives and POVs. I think it makes the day better. It makes the work better when we have the diverse voices in the room, and we need to just make sure that those voices are also being heard, and that plays a large part into the inclusion of that. It's important, to your question, for us to be here and as Black people grow into these roles and give us the opportunities to be heading of marketing, be presidents, be CMOs, be directors, so that we can also bring in more diverse voices and talent to make better teams and to make the work better.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly. And I hear you on that, because at the end of the day, what advertising does, there's more power than we think, right? Especially if you're not on the consumer side. You understand the power and the impact that your work has. And there's a responsibility as well. And I feel like, to your point, as you mentioned, like diversity of thought, diversity of perspective will always inform stronger work, because it gives you a deeper level of insight to who you're trying to reach in a meaningful way.
So I really wanted to ask you this. We were obsessed with the Beyonce Super Bowl ad that she dropped on us with Verizon.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you specifically, are you able to watch an ad simply as a consumer, or do you find yourself appreciating the execution of the ad?
That's a great question. Both. It's interesting. Verizon did such a great job with that. And it's interesting because being like a huge fan of her, like the days leading up to the big day, they did so great with the pre-tease and the tease breadcrumb moments of that, because...
So I didn't know about the breadcrumbs. So what did they look like?
They were small clippets from their handle via, I think, X and also TikTok. And it was the horse, like the name Renee, that the Hive has created for Renee, her. The Verizon guy was with Renee, and it was very interesting. And like, it was so suspenseful, but it was like, wait, that's Renee, and this is Verizon guy. Like, what's going on here?
What's the connection here?
What's the connection? And then, Act 1 had wrapped, and everyone was always wondering, like, what's next? So for me, I was like, as a fan of her, as a consumer, like, I was just like, there's no way that she's doing something with Verizon. Beyonce doesn't do things like that at all. Like, she's
at least
rarely,
anymore.
Yeah. She's rarely, I feel, at the forefront of ads, unless it's something that is benefiting her or something that's for her brand. So
exactly.
I immediately, my homegirls and my homeboys were hitting me like in our chat, like, is there a way like Beyonce would do this? And we had been talking about it all week. So I love the element of that. It was suspenseful, but I was just in my head like, there's just no way. And then on the day, you know, you hear My House playing, and it's like I'm watching the Super Bowl with my homeboys and my homegirls at my friends, and immediately just like moving out of the couch, like leaning into the TV, like what's going on. You hear the music and you see her, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's like that call to action of drop the music. Like that was just a moment within itself. And then a way of like, boom, here are the 2 links. Here's the single artwork. Like we were talking about rollouts. You know, here are all these moments that get us excited. And that's the way to do it. I mean, she just does things so well. And those are things that I love and miss about rollouts and when artists do these things. So a mix of both. Again, it was hard not leaning in as a consumer, but then also on the back end, my first question, like, you know, just working this space was like, well, how much was this budget?
I think a lot of
because the budget.
How much was the budget for the setups, and how much did Beyonce get paid to do this? Because she doesn't do this. So
truly,
I had a lot of questions, but I mean, I thought the insight was really great. And then the call to action for her is just like, it's just perfect to, you know, drop the music.
Yes. And like, what better way to drop the music or do a partner with a brand than on the day where an ad can get the most visibility?
Verizon did a great job.
Like, they did an amazing job.
Yeah, kudos to them.
And she did a lot. It was not a quick 1-2 line. I mean, there was outfit changes. There were
multiple outfit changes,
special effects, choreo,
multiple setups. You got to give it to her.
Yes.
So great.
And she delivered. She did a great job.
She did.
So speaking of other iconic ladies, we know that you are in Rihanna's Navy.
Yeah, probably head of the Navy.
Head of the Navy. Yeah. Head.
I'm psycho about her. It's twisted.
No, it's never. It's
I think
totally
we always
justified.
Find a way to name drop Rihanna in our episodes. So we are right there with you.
Yeah.
This is your audience.
I will never forget when Yodit was joining our team or about to join our team, because I had told her direct report, I was like, well, you have to hire her. we were interviewing, which felt more like a conversation. Like it was not an interview. Like
the flow
felt like effortless. I was like really meeting a homegirl for the first time. We were just like vibing out.
Yeah.
I love it.
We had a great
time. And we talked about Rihanna for maybe 15 minutes. Talked about the set list for the Super Bowl. Yep. Talked about her songs. And I was like, damn, she's definitely coming. For sure.
I want her.
And when she came, we circled back and we were like, so we were right about X, Y, and Z on the set list. It was talking about Rihanna a lot.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. So this is your people right here. Yeah. Like this is your audience.
This is a safe space.
Yes.
So we know that you are head of the Navy. So we wanted to talk to you about a scenario that could potentially happen. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to work for the mogul and you could pitch any branding idea to her, what do you think it would be?
I know you've thought about this.
I have. I really have. For Super Bowl, I actually mapped out what I hoped and had envisioned was to happen. And I know it's more about like branding things, but I want music. So I'm going back to the music essence of things. But Super Bowl. Rihanna doesn't need to do too much from a marketing standpoint when it comes to getting our attention. Like I think the announcement was perfect. Like you know that hand holding that football. You know that tattoo. No face. There's no other branding. There's no like it's just no name. It's just Rihanna's hand.
Yes.
Right.
Cool. Great. Super Bowl happens. What I had hoped was like Super Bowl's done. We get off stage. We drop the R, the iconic R logo that she has that has also been represented through many of her eras and her albums. Drop the R just on in feed the date of when the single is coming. Boom. The single comes. That week, you're announcing the album release date.
Yeah.
On that same day that the single leaked or single drops. Next week, we're doing a tour announcement of a residency.
Wow.
In New York, in LA. Okay, but that would be my ideal scenario. Like drop the R, drop the single, drop the date, drop the album that same week. Next week, tour announcement, a few dates. You know, like we don't need to overdo it. And then, that would be that's a perfect rollout for me.
I love that.
Because I think everything else she's doing from a branding standpoint, it's perfect. It's working. From the cosmetics to the skincare to the lingerie to coming back to Puma. Everything it's working. And like I think what she does so well in beyond her counterparts and her peers are the fact that she's just true within herself, but then also it's extremely fan to fan. Like everything that she does from a marketing standpoint across all of her brands, it's how Rihanna talks. It's like how Rihanna used to tweet.
Yes.
He would
what a time.
Be on Instagram as back everywhere. It's just like perfect. Yeah. But the music for me is, if we get it, we get it. But I'm still in the camp of,
she has an audience.
Yeah, I'm still in the camp of we can do this.
Yes.
I don't care how long it is.
Yeah.
I know
she could take her time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people have given up hope, but I haven't.
I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up hope.
We're not.
No one here is giving up hope.
I haven't given up hope yet. I still think it'll happen, but
I do like.
That's my ideal scenario.
I do love how she is a billionaire. She is an A+ list celebrity.
Yeah.
But there's something so accessible about her. The way that, yes, she's doing these ads, right? For a new product for Fenty makeup or whatever she's promoting. But there's something that feels really natural. It feels like it's a friend showing you, oh, look at this mascara that I'm putting on.
Yeah.
And then also I love how
how-tos, everything.
She's just really
like when she does,
she's very relatable.
Get ready with me. Yeah.
like when she has like, for example, the Puma earth tone colors, and she goes to every outlet and just chats with them. I feel like it's very rare to see that. She's at the forefront of
everything in branding.
And I feel like it just comes very natural.
Yeah.
And it just it gives me more appreciation for her and what she does.
She's a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur.
I would add, we love a circle back. I would add the out of home as well in the mix. Have the iconic R in all of the places where she would do the residency as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Wait, I see the vision, Mario.
It's a dream.
Rihanna, are you listening?
Are you listening? When you drop that music, you know who to hit up.
Mario Williams.
Ready. He's ready.
He's like, please.
Let's speak it up.
It's so bad. I'm not giving up.
Not giving up. We're not giving up.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to play a game.
Okay.
This or that.
Uh-oh.
Quick little speed round.
All right.
Very quick, but I figured you'd be the perfect person to do this with.
Let's do it.
So are you ready?
I think so. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, first question.
Okay.
Who had the better album rollout? Ariana Grande's Eternal Sunshine or Beyonce's Cowboy Carter?
Oh, Cowboy Carter. For sure. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't much of a rollout for Eternal Sunshine. Yeah.
In comparison.
Cowboy Carter for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Easy. Yeah.
Brilliant. And it's still going.
Check. Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
Okay. Who had the better Super Bowl halftime show?
Uh-oh.
Lady Gaga or J-Lo and Shakira?
Oh, that's a good one. I am not the biggest J-Lo fan, but J-Lo and Shakira.
I think they performed so
I love the choreo.
well.
It was electric. It was extremely exciting. I'll pick them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like how they both shared the stage.
Yeah.
And how they divided up the time was so well.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, that was actually really great.
Yeah, it didn't feel like 13 minutes. It felt like longer.
Right.
Yeah. I don't remember Gaga's.
Remember when she started off in the air and she like jumps then she
takes us through her
photography though.
That's all I remember about it.
Yeah. I mean it was good too. I think she weaved in like her slow tempo, her ballads, and then she had her like up tempo songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gave us
iconic hits.
Yeah.
She gave us looks, She gave us a Gaga show.
Yeah.
She gave us a Gaga show, but that's a good answer. I think it was a hard choice between the two for sure.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay.
What else we got?
So who had the more iconic partnership? Run DMC and Adidas or Aaliyah and Tommy Hilfiger?
Oh my God. Gotta go Run DMC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, it's still to this day, right?
Yeah.
To this day,
it's still so much inspo pulled from that. Yeah.
And I feel like you think about one and you think of the other.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Aaliyah.
I know.
Love you forever. But
I feel that
she rocked Tommy Hilfiger.
They're both still, I think, inspirational. You see so many Halloween costumes.
Yep.
Both.
Yeah.
I always feel every year I see Aaliyah's looks from that.
Exactly.
That's actually a good barometer of impact. Like if people are still like leaning into their aesthetics for a Halloween costume, that says a lot about how iconic they are. So I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are good.
All right, Mario. Okay, so who had the better friend group? The cast of Girlfriends or the cast of Insecure?
Oh my God. Really hard.
I know.
I'm glad it's not me.
No.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not in your seat.
I can do this. Oh no.
Take your time.
I have to go Insecure.
Okay.
I have to go Insecure.
Yes. I mean,
just for the fact it's my era, but also extremely relatable. Extremely, extremely, extremely relatable. And so personal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I hear you. And I think that's a great answer because I think they, like, the cast of Girlfriends walked so the cast of Insecure could run and fly and soar.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
I don't think I understood everything at that time when Girlfriends was out, being like so young. But
I think if you rewatch it though,
rewatching it is great now. Yeah.
Rewatching it, it's like you have a different understanding.
It's an extremely different understanding now. But I think if I take a step back and think about what impacted me now and like what actually was more resonant, it would be Insecure.
I think it's a great answer.
Yeah.
These are tough choices.
Extreme.
Okay, are you ready for the next one?
Not really.
Sweaty, like
Not really.
Okay, so who had the bigger debut album? SZA's Control or Frank Ocean's Channel Orange?
Wow. Control is so good. And
it is.
Channel Orange is on my wall in my apartment. Damn.
This one's tough.
I'm going to go Channel Orange.
Ooh, okay. Yes.
Again, like extremely meaningful, extremely personal, way ahead of his time. Like that coming out at that time and him doing what he did was, way ahead of his time in 2012 at that point. Yeah, move on, please.
It's too painful.
I can't talk
These
about
are very, very tough questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one more for you.
Okay.
You ready?
No.
It's not ready. Okay, who's the bigger fashion icon? Rihanna or Zendaya?
Rihanna.
Oh, it didn't even Yodit
Without hesitation. Couldn't even finish.
And she's the blueprint. She's the inspo for what Zendaya is doing now.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that I feel her and La are doing that are great.
Yes.
But I see Rihanna's old looks within some of them. Not to say that it's copying, but
no, it's like inspiration.
It's extremely Rihanna's influential. She's a blueprint of the fashion game. Yeah.
That's
no-brainer.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably the fastest. But
Yes. We wanted to end it painlessly.
So you survived.
Yay.
You
Thank you for playing.
We did it.
Good job.
Thank you for playing, Mario.
Yeah.
You had great answers and great justification.
Thank you.
So
I'm glad to play with y'all.
We appreciate it.
So back to you and your journey. What has been the most fulfilling part about the work that you do in advertising?
It's a great question. For me, I think it's probably in what I do, I feel valued and I feel that I'm appreciated. I feel protected. I feel guided and coached. Like, I think it's hard. It's hard being in the spaces as a Black person and in these corporate spaces. You know, there's always toxic masculinity and microaggressions and the things that we have to endure still as we deserve to be in these spaces, but still feeling like we don't deserve to be in these spaces because of the way people make us feel. And I experienced a little bit of that at my first gig, but now I'm filled with a lot of joy and gratitude at Wieden because of the way that I feel extremely valued. And I feel because I'm valued, I'm able to still keep me at the forefront and also being myself, which then impacts into doing the best type of work. And I don't think that would be possible without the managers and the mentors that I have in Wieden, but also outside of Wieden. And that is probably the most rewarding experience, because none of that, if any of that is not possible, then I don't think I will be able to perform in the way that I want to and show up as myself every day. And the people that I have that are mentors are like some of the best leaders that I aspire to be. So that's probably the most gratifying experience. And it gets me emotional a little bit sometimes, because it's hard finding those people. And it also gives me the push to even do it on my own, to those that are coming into the industry and those that are already here, and to do it even better, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really powerful, Mario. And I'm glad that that is a huge takeaway for you, because showing up as yourself, there's no better feeling, because if you can show up as yourself and feel safe enough to do that, then you feel empowered to really shine and give and collaborate and elevate. So I'm glad that that's how you feel in the space.
Yeah. Shout out to, they know who they are. Shout out to them. They're amazing.
I love that.
Amazing leaders and people to look up to.
Feeling valued is just the encouragement that you need to actually have a voice in your work. I mean, you can't do your job without it.
Yeah, it gives me an immense amount of confidence to show up every day and like be able to impact and lead the things that I've had the pleasure of doing, because I'm being Mario every day. And I think one of the special things about Wieden is we promote that. Like, we want people to show up exactly who they are in this space, so that we can, do the things that we can do at a large, high scale. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That really is.
Yeah.
Oh, that just warmed my heart.
I know. I love that.
It's a good feeling.
Yes.
So what are some lessons that you learned in your journey?
Yeah. I can't give away all the sauce, but a lot has to do with what I was just saying about showing up as myself. I've been coached and mentored to keep that sauce and also ensure that that's something that is flowing throughout the day. And a lot of just giving back. Like now that I have the opportunity to be an account supervisor, and if God presents me with other things along the way, I think that's what I'm learning even more now, is showing up for other people and not always wanting to be the loudest in the room, and giving the younger voices the voices to be able to present and to show up and to give them the room and the space to grow. And then also just probably like a sub-bullet to that is, I don't want to say hoarding, but not like crowding so much of their growth and mentoring them and coaching and managing them so that they can carve out their own paths. Like
letting them come to you.
Yeah.
In the space.
One of the things I enjoy now managing is just seeing you give people these pieces for them to carve out their way for how they want to do things, and just watching them fly, I think, is one of the most beautiful things, because it's like you're watching a baby grow.
And I can say that I've seen this firsthand.
From month one all the way to, all the other months to go. Like, it's just great. And that's how I was managed, and that's how I'm still managed. And I want to continue to do that for the other people that I'll have the joy of managing. But that's always like extremely rewarding too. It's like
paying that forward.
Yeah, paying it forward. Yeah. And back to Ackler too, of just reaching back. That all those pieces that I continue to learn from these people are things that I'm just trying to like do now and just make it even better.
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I've seen all of these traits and qualities in Mario in real time. So I can vouch.
So sweet.
I love it. I love that. Aww. What kind of advice would you give to someone that has never touched advertising but just wants to get their foot in the door?
Yeah. Ooh, I've got a few. The first is, and I think the era and the generation that we're in, this is probably not advice because I feel everyone's probably doing this, but never be afraid to slide in the DMs. Mm-hmm. Whether that's whatever platform suits best, obviously LinkedIn or wherever else are things that work for me. But I feel in those instances, you just never know what gem someone could share to you, and you just never know where that conversation can go. Mm-hmm. Like if I look back on my earlier start within this, that first interaction I had with the individual that hired my former friend, that felt like an interview to me. Like that felt like she was interviewing me for the internship program, even though we were getting to know each other and she was asking me questions, like all the general things. But without that conversation, I wouldn't have landed the internship offer that I didn't end up taking. But I was so grateful for that conversation and that experience because it led to something. Like it led to the first start of my opening of going somewhere. So it's kind of twofold in the same one of like just never being afraid to reach out to the DMs, but also when you have that conversation, like give it your all. Like it can lend to opportunities. It can lend to someone thinking about you for something else. Right. You just never know.
That's the key thing, right? Yeah. Because it may not be like the right time, but it's you're putting your name in the hat.
Yeah. How will you be? I always tell myself and still like going into these conversations, like, how will you be memorable to someone that has no idea who you are just by looking at your resume, looking at your LinkedIn profile, whatever? Right. Mm-hmm. What are you bringing to the table to that conversation that's going to make someone be like, damn, that person is special and I want that person to be here. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I would have, if I didn't reach out to the individual that I reached out to on LinkedIn to try to get it to Wieden, I wouldn't have been at Wieden. So
exactly.
I mean, listen, this firsthand account says it all.
Yeah,
right? That anecdote you shared for us in the beginning, I mean, look at the payoff, right? Yeah. So you never know.
You really never know. Yeah. And it helped carve out everything else that we're seeing. 2 is be yourself. I mean, it's easier said than done and like extremely cliche, but if you don't love what you're wanting to do or what you do or love yourself, in turn, you won't be able to be yourself, I don't think, especially unapologetically in the way that you aspire to be.
Absolutely.
It can lend to so many things and open so many avenues of opportunities, but also just I truly do feel if you are, then you're able to like perform at your best. You want to be able to do your best. And the third for me is, it's actually crazy. I feel like I was just having a similar conversation with someone, but I think people coming in and what I gravitate towards when just talking to junior talent or other talent folks, like it's interesting to see people have a perspective and have a point of view on stuff. Like I love to see people just have an opinion on anything, like the work or like what makes you tick? Like what is it about the way that you see our space or the way that you see work? Like how does that make you feel? And I like to hear people just like dump like their opinions on stuff. And it's good to be opinionated, especially in the space that we're in. But I love to see those things, and that's still something that I even like to do. Like, I feel like I don't know how to shut up sometimes by my opinions. But.
No, I think it's probably so valuable, right? Because what you all do is you put out a campaign that promotes a product, and you can't guarantee what that specific consumer is going to take away from the ad. And it's good to have different voices and different perspectives, because you're like, oh, this is in a way a temperature check before we put the work out there.
Yeah. Those are my biggest.
Cool. Yeah. Lots of gems.
Trying to just do the best we can.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I love. So our final question, what does the future look like for Mario Williams?
Ooh, definitely staying in the space. I am I'm fulfilled in doing what I do. And I feel, as we were chatting earlier, I just think as an individual that I am and having a love for understanding people and what makes people tick. And I find the things that we do in our space so interesting, but I find people interesting. And I think that my personality and the way that I am as an individual is more in line with the space of brand management. I would love to lead a team. I would love to be a director. I would love to be head of marketing somewhere one day. I have a lot of goals, and I hope as the journey continues and as we go through each day that, God continues to keep me protected and Absolutely. That I have a way to just do the things that I want to do. But I really do want to make an impact in a large scale way and have a team of diverse perspectives and diverse people and diverse voices so that we can just be like rock stars all together. Like I would love that.
Yes. I love it.
I don't know where that's going to happen or how we're going to get there, but
you're already on the right track.
I hope that happens, and I hope that we're able to do it.
You're on the right path.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mario, this was such a great conversation. Great. And I'm just so glad that I got to learn a little bit more about you. Obviously, like we said earlier in the chat, you knew Yodit, but now you know me and I know you. And this is really, really, really fulfilling conversation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.
I love, again, seeing this platform that you guys have built and continue to do. It's award winning. Let's make that be known.
Let them know.
He said it.
He said it.
And
Thank
this
you,
is great.
Maria.
Keep pushing along. And
thank you.
I love to see all the range of guests that you guys have too on here. It's a nice group.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and being a part of the space.
Of course. I'm honored. Thank you.
This conversation was lovely. So thank you so much for your time.
We did it.
Yes.
If you want folks to keep up with you, if you have any socials you prefer, drop your @ here on deuxsol Radio.
Yeah. Instagram is Rio X Williams. And LinkedIn is Mario Williams if you want to reach out there too.
Amazing. Mario, thanks again. Thank you so much.
Love.
And guys, if you like what you heard, you can keep up with us on our socials at DEUXSOL. That's at deuxsol. You can also watch us on YouTube, and you can listen to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you can hear it,
we'll be on it.
And till next time, guys, peace.